So hello developers, I am Stone. Sorry for not making videos from the couple of days because I was due to some transition. I was busy these days. I am also not getting time to create any video. So from now on, I will be uploading videos. So my last videos was about Spark versus Hadoop. So in this video, we will learn what is Spark and how Spark runs in cluster and how Spark runs in standalone, and what are the cluster manager that are available in Spark, and what is the architecture behind Spark. So let's start the video today. For the documentation, as you can see, Apache Spark is a unified analytics engine for large scale data processing. Okay, so you can say that it is a distributed computing platform where your data file will be divided into chunks and sent to individual executors or individual process where they will be computing it, and after computation they will be submitting to the driver process. Okay, in that high level, just understand. I will later on tell you what is driver and what is executor. Okay, so before Spark was there, we are storing the data in Teradata and Hexadata, but when the data revolution came and when the data becomes more growing more and more, Google first identified this problem. So to deal with this large number of growing data, Google first developed a viable solution. In 2003 they proposed a solution, that is Google File System, that is later became SDFS, which solves the storage of data, which solves the storage of data management problem. Okay, because it stores the data across the computer over the cluster. Okay, then in 2004 they introduced MapReduce, which is responsible for data processing and transformation. So there are two main things that Google proposed. One is SDFS, another is MapReduce. So SDFS solves the storage problem by implementing a distributed file system over a cluster of computers. Okay, then MapReduce comes into the picture. Then MapReduce solves the computing capacity problem by implementing a distributed processing framework on the top of the SDFS. Okay, so MapReduce is built on the top of the SDFS. It divides the data file into the smaller tasks and sends to the cluster of computers for individual computation. Okay, so now comes what is Apache Spark. Okay, I will show you. So as you can see from the picture, it is designed in two layers. The bottom layer is the Spark core. This is the layer is the Spark core, and the top layer is some APIs and libraries that are mostly and widely used by data scientists and the data engineers. And all these Spark, SQL, data frame streaming, MLlib, GraphAppex internally uses Spark cores. So you can think like this: these four are built on the top of Spark core that uses internally Spark core for the execution. Okay. So the two things together makes the Spark ecosystem. So Spark core layer is again divided into two parts. One is Spark engine, a distributed computing engine. Another is a set of core API that provide that through by using that we can write Spark logic for execution of Spark job. And the whole things run on a cluster of computers which helps in distributed data processing. So and the whole thing runs on a cluster of a computer which helps in distributed data processing. Spark itself does not manages the cluster. Okay, Spark is there for data processing and transformation. It does not manage your cluster. The cluster is itself manages. The cluster manager is responsible to manage the cluster, and Spark is run on the cluster for the data processing only. We have multiple cluster managers like Kubernetes and Mesos, but since Spark was initially based on Hadoop MapReduce and it is adopted in Hadoop platform, so Hadoop Yarn Manager is the most commonly used cluster managers for Spark. Okay, in Google Cloud, if you are aware of Google Cloud, then if you are create then if you will create an account in Google Cloud, it will give you free credits. Okay, so the after so after signing in through Google Cloud, you can go to Dataproc and create a cluster. So that cluster will also internally use Yarn, Hadoop Yarn only for the cluster management. For the cluster management. So Spark does not come with built-in storage system like Hadoop. So we can use any the hundreds of data sources or the data lakes that for processing and for ingesting the files. Okay. Hence, Apache Spark is only used for data processing workloads, and as it does not support built-in storage system in inbuilt cluster manager. Spark does not comes with built-in storage system. Okay, so but Hadoop comes with built-in storage system like HDFS. So and Spark also does not manages the cluster. So you can clearly it is very clear that Spark is only used for data processing and transformation. But you can use various data sources or data lakes like Amazon S3, Google Cloud, Azure Blob Storage for the data storage to for ingesting the files or reading the files using Spark. The use of Spark engine is to break your data processing work into smaller tasks, scheduling tasks on the cluster for parallel execution. Okay, it monitors and manages the task. It also provides fault tolerance when job gets fails. In coming videos, in the coming videos, I will show you how it is fault tolerance and whenever a job get fails. Okay. So the Spark Core API provides the four languages that it supports: Scala, Java, Python, R. These API are used to write the logic for data processing. So in my videos, I will be using mostly Scala and Python, because from Java I am using from the last 3-4 years. So I am new to from last last 2 years I am using Scala, and from last 1 year I am using Python. So it is better, whatever code I will write in Scala, the same code I will replicate in Python. So we will be using Scala with Spark and PySpark in our applications. One major drawback of these APIs are these are based on RDD. RDDs are low level API. RDD are also known as resilient distributed data set, which is used in initial days of Spark. Okay, so I will tell you why data frame came and why RDD they avoided. So because Spark actually wants to attract the SQL developers, but for SQL developers, if they want to use Spark, they have to learn the language Scala, and they have to they have to read the RDD, and they need to understand the Spark. But that is quite long time taking. So instead of that, they created data frame and they avoided to use RDD. But I will be covering in later videos. Actually, it is based on your requirement to use RDD or data frame, but RDD makes Spark hard to work, and they lack some performance optimization. That performance optimization they have resolved in data frame. Even if Spark creator also recommend to use data frame as much as possible and to avoid RDD as much as possible, but it can give you the highest level of flexibility to solve complex data process. But if you use RDD, it can give you a highest level of flexibility to solve complex data processing problem. So again, I told you it's based on your requirement whether to use RDD or to use data frame. Whatever the requirements you have in your hand, so you have to choose whether you have to use RDD or you have to use data frame. Okay. So here, as you can see that in the topmost layer we have Spark SQL or data frame, streaming, MLlib, GraphX. So these are built on the top of the Spark Core API. So whenever you are using these four libraries or API, so these four libraries internally will be using Spark core for the execution. Even if I told you Spark SQL, through Spark SQL you can directly, you can write native queries like SQL and you can execute and you can expect a data frame in a return. And Spark data frame or data set will allow you to use functional programming technique. So whatever, suppose you want to do a group by, okay, that group by you can do using using functional programming like data frame, like df dot select the what column you need to select and dot group by in which column you need to group by. And suppose I want to do a aggregate function like dot average, so you have to use dot average column, okay. So the same thing I can use in Spark SQL. So I can write like df dot create a replace temp table, so it will create a table and you have to give a table name, so that data frame will convert it to a table internally. And you can write SQL query, native SQL query to so that you can execute on that data frame. Streaming library is used to process a continuous stream of data, okay. So that everything we will be covering one by one, so don't worry, we will be fast. We will go with Spark core, then we will cover Spark SQL data frame, then mostly I will go for the MLlib, then streaming, then GraphX, okay. And MLlib is used extensively by the data scientist and the data engineer for for feature extraction, for creating models and to detect and to predict the to predict the efficiency of the model, and to make deep learning activities also. It is used for deep learning activities also. And GraphX allows us graph processing algorithm using Spark, okay. So this is basically a typical overview of Spark architecture, means how, what are the components Spark has, okay. So all these things will be running over a cluster manager or a standalone or a local standalone thing. So this is depend upon you. So in production generally we prefer cluster manager, because Spark is totally totally deals with driver and executor, means dividing your data. The driver will divide your data into chunks and you will send to the cluster for individual computation. So in production we will be deploying our Spark in a cluster in a cluster environment, and for testing and debugging and for writing POC kind of thing, we will be using Spark standalone or Spark local, okay. So now we will learn about how what is going to happen when you submit a job. So how Spark executes the job, means how it creates the driver and how it creates the executor and how all these things happen in a cluster, okay. So we are going to see this. So as you can see, there is a client that submits a job, okay, using Spark submit. So this is the cluster manager. It can be anything: Kubernetes, Mesos, Yarn, or a standalone, or you can, or maybe it can be a local also. In local, the driver will be reside on the client side, not in the cluster side, okay. So for now only I will give the example with a cluster using a cluster environment, okay. So whenever we develop a Spark application, we submit that Spark application to the cluster for execution using the Spark submit. And Spark applies a master slave architecture, and Spark applies a driver executor architecture. Or you can sometimes you can heard about master or slave. So here driver is referred to master and executors are referred to slave. So it is, you can say that Spark also applies a master slave architecture for every job we submit. So whenever we submit a job, it is going to create a master process for your job. Master process means it will be creating a driver process for your job. This driver process will again request container to give some memory so that it can create the executors. So here you can see the driver process creating a couple of executors, that is executor 1, executor 2, executor 3 and executor 4. So so why this driver creates this executor? Because main reason of using Spark is of the distributing computing, the distribution computation. So means when so data will not be computed in a single machine. It will be computed in a individual different machine. So that's the reason driver creates executor, so that he can divides the file into chunks and send to the individual executor. And after executing the files, after executing or computing the individual files, executor will return all the files to the driver process using dot collect operation internally. Then the driver merges the file to a single file and returns to the client. So this, so the whole thing you can assume that it is a container, it is a dedicated container, and it has a CPU memory to execute the job. Okay, so driver also needs some memory to create, and executor also needs some memory to create. So we have dedicated memory for driver, we have dedicated memory for executor, and we have dedicated codes for driver also, as well as executors also. So this the whole this image I am discussing about, it is related to Spark only, not the cluster manager, because cluster manager may have its own master node and bunch of slave nodes, but these things are part of the cluster and are managed by the cluster manager itself. Neither Spark interfere in cluster, neither cluster manager, but cluster manager provides the memory whenever the driver process needs to get created, and whenever a executor process needs to be created. So once the job is got submitted, the Spark engine is going to ask for a container from the underlying cluster manager to start the driver process. Okay, after the driver gets started, now driver will going to ask for more containers. More containers means more memory to start or to create the executor process, and this happens for each and every job you executed. So suppose another client to submits a job using Spark submit, then what happens? Again, a driver process will be created by requesting the cluster container to get some memory. Once the driver processor gets created, and the driver processor will create the executor process with some memory, so that it can process and it can compute the files individually and returns the output to the client. So I think you can have a clear idea what is the architecture behind the Spark and how Spark works on clusters. Now we will see uh, in how many ways we can run, in how many ways Spark runs. Okay, so you can see what are the cluster managers available for Spark. One is local star. I will tell you what does this star means. This star means, I am telling, so whenever I have a whenever you want to debug your Spark code, or you are developing one Spark application, then you need to write it in your own IDE. So there you need to create the master as the local star. Here star means, I am telling that to use infinitive thread. If I give 5 6 sorry, then it will start 6 threads. So by default, if I don't give anything, by default that it will create one thread. By default, the default value is 1. So for now, let's make it star. Okay, so as we spoke, there is other cluster manager also. Yan is there, Mesos is there, Kubernetes is there, standalone is there. I told you, if I don't specify anything, then it will create one thread. So hence it is creating, hence we have single thread, then we have the driver only, no executor. So driver will do everything itself. There is no parallel execution will occur here. So this is the disadvantages if you are going with the default value. So how many ways to execute the Spark application? You can use Spark Shell, you can use notebooks, you can use IDE. For our tutorial, for our videos, we will be using PyCharm. We will be using PyCharm for PySpark, and we will be using IntelliJ IDE for Scala Spark. Okay. basically basically the Spark Shell or notebooks or IDE, these are wrappers are using clients. Okay, means so basically these PowerShell or notebooks or IDE are referred to clients. Okay, so here particularly in this, if you are using a IDE or IDE, that means it is client. Okay, so here driver resides on the client machine and connects with the executor. And suppose if you log up, or if you if abnormally your application terminates, then you will lose the driver. If you lose the driver, automatically the executor will also die. But in cluster manager it doesn't happen like this. Okay, so here driver will reside on cluster manager itself, and even if you log up or your program terminates also, then the driver will not be impacted. So it is helpful for production related deployments. So this is all about today's videos. So I will try to make the video short, so I don't want to be directly deep dive into the code. So basically I want to make sure that you understand the architecture of Spark, how Spark internally works, and how Spark internally executes our jobs, etc. So thank you guys. Like, share and comment, so that it will help me for grow.